Okay, and we're live. G'day guys, hope you're having a great day today. Today we're going to be fixing a 2015 MacBook Pro that has bad hinges. So these computers, they suffer from bad hinges, and it's quite common in the 2012 all the way up to 2015. And what happens is, when you open it, it has this little bit of a wobble in the actual hinge itself, and it can break your cable, and if you don't fix it, then you'll end up breaking the screen, you'll end up breaking the LCD connector, and then it can start costing $500 plus just to repair it. So I'm going to show you how to fix this correctly and quickly. So the first thing we want to do is we want to open the screen up like this, and then we place it down on a flat surface like that. So you place it down flat, so we can remove the screws and access the actual parts that we need to. So the screws have already been taken out of this unit, so we can pop the lid off. Okay, so again, if we were to move the actual screen, what we can do is we can tell if it's the visible side of the hinge that's affected, which are these three screws here and these three here. So when you're moving the screen backwards and forth, if you see these screws here moving, then you know that it's this part of the hinge. If you don't see that moving, then it's actually the other side, and to access that part of the screen can be a challenge if you don't know what you're doing. I will show you how that's done as quickly as possible. So diving straight into it, first thing we want to do is remove the battery. We don't want to short anything to ground. We don't want to put our screwdriver in any places that could potentially short this to ground and cause a bigger problem for the customer. Next thing we want to do is we want to remove the LCD connector right here. We'll just pop that out. Move that to the side. Okay. Then we remove these 6 screws here. And these are T8 Torx screws. And you will need a T8 screwdriver to fix this, to remove these screws, I should say. So we've got 6 of them. They can be all put in the same area. I'm just placing them down the side here. And the last one. So when you remove this last screw, you're going to see it's going to start to wobble. There are 2 anchors, I call them anchors, one right here and one right here. And they have a T5 screw, which is that guy there. And you need to remove those 2. Bear in mind that when you do remove these 2 screws, this whole screen is actually going to lift out. Remove the T5 screw that's holding the Wi-Fi card, and you want to pull that out. I find it easier to remove this whole thing with the Wi-Fi card on it. You can remove the gasket and just put it to the side. And then you've got your Wi-Fi connector. Apologies, your webcam connector. So that's your webcam, and you want to pull that out. Okay, now we're ready to remove these 2 T5 screws. We get our T5 screwdriver, put our T8 down, and load up our T5, and we can remove both the T5 screws that are holding down this anchor. And what you'll see is that there's actually a little part here. It's a little aluminium anchor, and that holds down the one side of the screen. So they're not interchangeable. They have to be kept separate because you will not be able to connect them in the wrong side. So here's the one from this side here, and you'll find that it will not be able to connect on this side here. Okay, so keep them separated. Okay, then all you want to do is remove the screen, and the best way to do this is just open it up and then just wiggle it out. It does take a little bit of wiggling. Try not to wiggle it too much because you can actually crack it. So then this part gets put to the side, and then we're left with the LCD screen. So just to inspect the screen, to verify that it is the hinge, we can actually just move one of the hinges. So that's actually solid, and this side here is wiggling. So as you can see, this part here is wiggling, so this side is either damaged or needs to be tightened. Okay, so the next part is to remove this bezel here, and how that's done is just shifting it from right to left. Okay, then you'll see it click. So it just moves like that. Okay, so move it to one side, and then you should be able to get something in there and pry it up, and then it just pops out. And with this part here, you will not be able to get this out any other way. If you do not do it the way that I just showed you, by doing that, you will wreck it. It will snap in half. So it must be done like that. So when you put it back in, same thing, put it on that side and then click it back. If you just try to pull this thing up, it's going to break. So we can put this bezel to the side, and now we can inspect the hinge. So this side here is affected, and this side here is actually affected too. And we'll try to get a close-up of that. Okay, so that's affected. So all we need to do is just lift up this lightly, this LCD connector, and just move it to the side. You want to be as careful as you can with this, because you will wreck it. And you get your T8 screw. And then you tighten it. Okay. And now that's solid. There are a couple of screws holding this down, so make sure you tighten both of them. And that is nice and tight now. Okay, so now the other side. So here's the other side. And that's wiggly as well. So we get in there with the screwdriver and we tighten it. Try not to damage any of these wires. And try not to crack the screen. So that one's done as well. Okay, so another important thing is the actual alignment of the hinge. You want to make sure that it's aligned nicely. and I can tell that this hinge is actually just out just a fraction, so we will loosen it. And we'll realign it, so we want it to be straight. So just align it with your eye. And this job belongs to my mate Vaughan. Thank you for your business, Vaughan. He's also a trader in the cryptocurrency world. Okay, so that's done. So now all we need to do is just need to put the bezel back on, and basically it's just the same way. So over to one side, then it gets pushed down, and when you hear that click, that's good, and then you slide it back, and then that'll lock it. So that's now locked in place. That hinge is solid. Screen goes back in. And just be careful when you're putting this back in. It only wants to go in one way. Okay, so that's on. And then let's get this camera lined up properly. Okay. Now the hinges are sticking up, and we want them to go down without moving the screen. So the best way to do that is have it on a flat surface and just push down on those hinges, just like that. Okay. Then we put our first couple of screws in. Line it up with the center screw first. Don't tighten it. Just get it in there. And then you've got your Wi-Fi card here. We'll probably put that in first. So the Wi-Fi card is in. And then we can, then you've got this, I would say it's an anchor point for the wire for the wireless card. Center screw in. Now it's important that you don't just put the screws in tight first time, and you'll see why, because you will have to realign the screen. So when you close the screen, it perfectly aligns up with the magnets that hold the screen down. So get them in there loose. So just finger tight. Then we can put the camera webcam connector. Okay, so now what you want to do is we'll plug this LCD connector in while we're there. You want to close the screen and check the alignment and make sure it's nicely aligned. Okay, once you've got it aligned, and I can hear my granddaughter. She's just rung. Okay, so you tighten it. Start tightening them. So they're torque screws, so you can give them a good tightening. Okay, last two. And the last one here. Then we test it. So now we're getting no movement at all in that screen. So that was actually jiggling before. Now it's not. So I can hold that, and the weight of the hinge, the weight of the bottom case, however, is being supported by the hinge. So that is how you tighten a hinge for a MacBook A1502, and this applies for all A1502s from 2012 up to 2015. We'll quickly put these anchors in. So one side, and then the last one here. In the screw. Cool. And then last but not least is the bezel, the gasket. And that just tucks in to the little slots on each side, like so. I still have one screw to add to here and here, but other than that, that is done. Cool. So now we've fixed the hinge. It now opens, and it's now no longer jiggling. So that's how you fix a hinge for a MacBook Pro. If you've learned anything off this video, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. I hope you have a great day, and thank you for watching.